Hello, everyone. It's Friday, the 27th of January, 2023. Friday! And past 24 hours has been a little frustrating. Only when I look on social media, in my defense. And so I've been trying to get completely off social media as much as possible and only get on it to see what's going on and then reaching out to people regarding various misinformation campaigns that people are falling for. And it's just so frustrating because it's just going to lead us down another road of misery and suffering, possibly, if we just don't get on top of this stuff. But also, though, in the last year, like things like monkeypox and these other things that people tried to push on the population, more people caught on to it and just like laughed it away and ignored it away, and then it just miraculously disappeared, and with so many other things as well, and a lot more people not getting boosted, which is all good news, but still Canadian government trying to push this on its citizens, including children and elderly, which blows my mind. But this is the country we're living in right now. It's very heavily censored, and people like me are trying to share information, and of course we're getting censored and shadow banned even now. I have a video that I uploaded yesterday morning that it's still not even finished processing yet, and I'm sure it's the title just being regarding like the Freedom Convoy, because I discussed yet again that Brian Fox, the head of Enterprise, he owns a crisis actor company that and he was bought and was like and funded by people like Marco Mendicino, who he's also friends with, and he's also a liberal, um who was the one that was carrying that freaking flag, like that first weekend he tried to incite a riot. And then also Marco was also that weekend also talking about employing or deploying tanks and things like that. And then there was people like me that were telling people all over the place that like the convoy was coming, that it wasn't the people that people thought it was that were running it or organizing it, and that even like the anonymous donors and stuff like that, these were leftists, extremists, socialists that were doing this, and then putting people like in the limelight who were not as good as at representing the cause, like their own personal causes, as could have been used. But this is what happens, right? They want to take people where they have dirt on that they can use, in later circumstances. And so like there's a lot of people that have been political prisoners, like Tamara Lynch and Jeremy McKenzie and Pat King and so many others. And it is what it is. But we're slowly coming to a time where the information is finally getting at least released outside of Canada. And like what I was going with the mainstream media and me staying in Canada trying to get this information out, it's not exactly like there's people in China that are like super famous on YouTube for sharing information about like the truth or the reality about China and other countries, right? Like those people you're like, oh, listen, or none, even the billionaires. And the same thing for North Korea, right? There's no famous people. There's no Russell Brands. There's no Joe Rogans coming out of these countries, because they're that heavily censored, and the reality of their world is drastically different than our own, right? So if there was more abilities for people to get off uncensored browsers and stuff like that, then they would see, that there's different calendar systems, and that like their leader, isn't the one that created the world, and he's not God. Like his lineage isn't. We're all gods technically, and this is a simulation. But anyway, that's another tangent. Just frustrating stuff. But I was going to talk about Santos Bonacci. He, especially his older work, is incredible, and I highly recommend people take a look at it before it gets removed off of social media platforms, because it's just amazing information that helps people, and it doesn't make them perpetual brainwashed puppets, supporting and enabling human trafficking pedophiles, and then gets people to look more at the individual level to for healing and for accessing higher levels of consciousness and awareness and things like that. It's internal. And then the representations that we see in so many different literary works, including like Bibles and classical plays and all throughout like various different countries, then it's all connected to astronomy and sun and moon and the stars and the ether, like, and then also within ourselves to the like the pituitary gland, pineal gland, and thalamus is being connected into this trinity, where like our Christ oil, which is on the right hemisphere, can be accessed if we like live a more purposeful life, and like we filter our water, and like we eat more organic foods and like significantly less meat, and and then meditate more and or pray and find these periods of silence to access again like the ether and like the network where I don't know what like the frequencies and waves and stuff like that like drastically impact us and can make us more intuitive or not. And but anyway, he talks about like theological, philosophical, astronomical mechanics of waves and light particles and stuff like that, and then connects astronomy with it and makes the examples with our bodies, and I have as well. And it's just all very fascinating stuff, because even my flat earth map that I've shared before, I bought that in 2011, and there's a lot of this stuff, like even like the religious stuff, like I've even been like on the record like on freaking like international TV on the Discovery Channel saying that I'm not religious but I am spiritual. And when I said that, I had a lot of religious people that were attacking me after that show and saying that I needed to find Jesus or God. I kind of like laughed at that, saying like I didn't like laugh at it as in like in a negative way, but like I just like I couldn't even begin to explain. That's why I'm doing these videos, that I am a spiritual person. Like I do believe there's a God. Obviously, I've said this many times before. There's a divine creator, at least one. I believe there's multiple ones that but that created this simulation that we're experiencing. You know, like that's being influenced and impacted by toroidal fields and electricity and magnetism. That's also connected to like how they influence our body as well. So dielectricity, you know, can be connected with Christ or the moon and silver or Krishna, and like it's about resting. And again, and this is like in certain, you know, cultures and occult theosophical teachings, and so. And even with the moon too, like where it can cause like decay or petrification or it can like make temperatures cooler, and then there's even been like measured like water and other things being measured that where things have been out in moonlight and then put in shade, and then where like the temperature was colder like in the moonlight, and then obviously that's opposite for the sunlight. And so how does the moon impact temperature? Like we need to look more into that, and the dielectricity or the electricity that's resonating from it. And then there's also like theories out there that like the moon like used to be a sun, and then it like was shot down or died, and then it's now being like the light it could possibly be self-illuminated, or it could be illuminated by like a satellite or some kind of like man-made device that is like reflecting on it. Again, like I see like all of these like different things, and so I'm just open-minded to all of this stuff, but that it is still on like the like these nodes, these rings that are traveling within the dome or above the dome, but like within it, that is like in a clockwise direction, like moving around us within the dome, like I already said. And so like the moon being like I said, with silver and electricity and all those things, and then with the sun being that regarding like magnetism and white light. So dielectricity being about like black light, and the white light would be the sun, and then gold being associated with the moon as well, with the sun as well. And then like in some like accounts, it could be like associated with like the Virgin Mary. Like for me, like the sun is associated with Jesus, like that like I believe that he's a representation of that, and that Mary is a representation of the moon, and that and then God is like the ether, or like the Christ oil, or what's around us beyond the dome as well, and then within the dome, and then we're all connected to God and stuff like that too. But then even with Mary Magdalene, like there's there's maga like within the name as well. And so even with Ra and the association with the sun, like I do believe that these were possibly like beings that may or may not have existed, but that represent people that were able to like increase like the magnetic charge, I guess, of these beings. And so like even with Mary Magdalene, if she's like correlated with like magnetism, like and she like was possibly like the wife of Jesus and not a prostitute, then she's and also like a lot of people do believe that she was like a very smart, and then she was also someone that was like a great orator, and also spoke to mass audiences, and was well renowned for being very intellectual. And so again, it depends on the place, but like she increased his output and increased his frequencies and his vibes, right? So like it's also important who you surround yourself with. They can significantly impact your your fields, our auras, that can impact our auras and make it holy, like not holy as in HOLY, but like as in like holes in them, and so gotta be aware of that stuff. And like Buddha and Hermes and Thoth and Odin and Horus and Kukulkan and Moses and Enoch, like these are all like, were they actual like people, or were they like represent like, or do they represent astronomy and science, like the more truer original sciences? And because yeah, even with like sacred geometry and stuff like that, it's all correlated to the constellations and the zodiac signs or the Mazzaroth, whatever you want to call it. And every single society has astronomy and astrology in it, like some form of a zodiacal sign, zodiacal representation of these signs. And there's either 12 or 13 depending on where you go. And then there's different cultures and civilizations that track their calendars are based off of the moon, and then some are based off of the sun. And then there's multiple accounts of like multiple suns existing throughout time as well. But this is also why certain people that are billionaires, or people that are at the high ends of the military, pharmaceutical, industrial complex, they want to keep people stuck and speaking different languages and not knowing what's going on, or the reality of the world, because it keeps them famous, rich. It keeps them being able to like keep the inherited wealth and resources, and then when they're able to track like certain key cyclical events that can impact millions of people, like they're able to like be away from these areas and avoid it, and or plan and stage it for large amounts of people, because they believe that we deserve it, which is, it just blows my mind still. But even with the stuff that's being taught regarding the like anatomy and the signs, I do struggle with the heart and the chest being represented by Cancer and Leo, because like Aries being the head, and then Taurus being the cerebellum, but also the like the throat and the shoulders in some areas, in some cultures as well, and then Gemini being like the hands and communication, and then Cancer being like the chest, but like I believe it's the heart, because within Cancer, like that's where the sun is like goes into the like the summer solstice, where the sun is in the highest in the sky, and like it's the warmest in North America, and like it's the highest like during like the wave, like the ecliptic path that I've shown in other videos. And so heart and earth, like they're anagrams for each other, and so I do believe that like that would be like the sign that would be associated with the heart. But anyway, I digress. I keep on saying I digress. Anyway. Magnetism, and Ken Wheeler, yeah, like there's so many people that are putting out really good information regarding flat earth, regarding simulation earth and toroidal fields and magnetism, and I highly encourage and recommend people take a look at the references that I cite, and then go on your own paths and look at the your own videos that strike you and are of interest to you, because there's nothing that I can do or say that is going to lead you to enlightenment, right? Like these are all individual things that people need to experience for themselves. I'm just trying to be the deliverer, I guess, of ways that we can assist with our own internal, again, self-actualization. Anyways, a lot of things. All is Adam. I was making predictions yesterday, but I don't sometimes like clarify, but like I was saying that the Eagles were gonna win the Super Bowl, and I was saying it's because Darius Slay, like in gematria, like his name is correlated with 129, and the Super Bowl is gonna be on January 29th, and so it's like 129, and it's not just that, like there's like a few other things that I put in there as well that correlate to them winning this year, but then also I was listening to the Eagles, and that's what got me on this path of making the connections to possibly them as well. Like they might be going releasing a new album. This is all like no one's really talking about it at all. It's like it's being really like tight-lipped, and I think it's because like if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, then they can announce like the release of their album, and it'll make a lot of money because of like that subliminal messaging, the predictive programming and stuff like that. And they're also like planning to possibly another tour in like this year in 2023. So Eagles again, and 23 being a sacred gematria number, and the Eagles, like they are also like the band also like has like a lot of like hidden symbology within their music. And so why do I go on this? Like, this is my brain on a regular freaking morning. And even with 23, like the letter, like W in our alphabet is the 23rd letter is W, and if you put it on its side, it's a 3, and then 33 is also like a Freemason number, and so there's correlations with that as well, and they're Freemasons, and yeah. So I was gonna talk about WEF and Klaus Schwab and like the crazy stuff that he's trying to plan, and Soros and Gates and Kissinger and all these people with these plans that they've had in place for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But like even with like with the names that they choose for people and like the birth dates of people, like it's all like there's no coincidences. So even with Klaus Schwab, Klaus is short in various languages for Nicholas, especially his. And so like there's the association with Santa Claus there as well, and then like with victory over the people. And so take it for what it is. And but even with like with the one eye symbology, I was going on all these tangents, but like the monocle is symbolic of Kronos, the or Saturn, or the keeper of time, and all these things. And it's in so many different videos, and I highly recommend people take a look at J Dreamers and Decode Your Reality, because they go through a lot of the in plain sight hidden symbology within within music, within art, within movies, you name it. Television series. There's a lot on Netflix, obviously, because like their own, like they are paid propaganda, and so that should be clear to people more so now than ever. But even with like the Umbrella Academy, with the one eye symbology within that, and like and the parasol or the umbrella, you know, associated also with not only the shape of the world, the possible shape of the world, with like the domed umbrella mushroom shape, but then with the stem, Adam and Eve correlation there as well with the Eve, and the stem, but could also be like representation or symbolic of the shape of the earth, or the actual structure of the earth. Like even with the eye, like I shared that too, where if you put it upside down and look at the eye, like it's a flat plane with like a dome above, and then you've got the optic nerve, you know, that's below, that's connected to like the brain. Anyway, and then the rear of our brain, and then like that's possibly where there's like the third eye that used to be in like some civilizations, but then also with mushrooms, it's also symbolic of like psychedelics and that connection that's needed, and like you are what you eat, but to get those like that more of that connection with like the reality of this reality or this plane, because we're accessing more of our neurons, and then we're also like our optic nerves as well, they're more stimulated in our eyes even too as well, like our pupils dilate or contract or and things like that, based on like even cannabis can assist with like opening up the like allowing for more light to access our eyes and stimulate activity and things like that. These are all very important things, and correlation with that as well, parasols, and even with oh my god, I keep on forgetting her name. Not Mother Hubbard, the girl in the sky with the umbrella. I'm gonna remember it at some point. Anyway, yeah, so I was asking questions to people because I've been talking about the Mandela effect now for the last couple of years as well, and about ET, is it home phone or phone home? And it turns out like now people are saying that it is home phone, and anything that you look at on online to try to verify it, it says it's home phone. And so maybe that's just like a Mandela effect, or just like it was actually in the movie like that, and it's just the way they advertised it, and with everything that they bought and purchased, it just turned out that they liked that saying better and just rolled with it. But even with Fruit Loops, they're saying now that it's always been spelled Fruit instead of Froot, loops, Loop, with like those Fruit Loops as the O's, as the double O's, and then with even with Fruity the Loom, they're saying that that it's always been just fruit, and there's never been like a cornucopia like in that like behind it, but like where's the loom if it's Fruit of the Loom. And there's so many other examples I have, but even with Shazam and Kazam, and saying that the movie didn't exist. And then I even put on the record, it's on my Instagram. You have to scroll down a little bit, but like even proving that like it did in fact exist and it was created. It's just like people try to just censor it from us. Like, why lie about these things? It is what it is. On this day in history, again, like, don't trust history because it's his story, and always look into more information, alternate facts in other countries for more data and uncensored browsers. But it's saying that on this day, Mikhail Lazarev in 1820 discovered the continent of Antarctica. No, and first of all, it wasn't discovered then. Obviously, like people throughout the ages have like gone to the Arctic Circle and or like the Antarctic Ring, and people have tried to go around it, and have spent like over 3 years, so many different accounts of this throughout history, even way before the 1820s is what I'm saying about this, way beyond that. And it's not a continent. It is like it surrounds us, it borders us, and there's like access routes out of it in certain areas where you can access other land, additional land. I've shared this as well, and take a look for yourself, please. And there's so many older maps too in archived data that do in fact admit this. And then even Admiral Byrd, like he even admitted this on the record, videos shown out there, him in interviews saying this, and other people as well. And so this information is just being censored and lost from us, and books burned and all this other stuff. So these were lies. 1888, 888, 888s, the Enelima, the infinity symbol, like the rotation flight path of the sun and the moon, etc. This is when the National Geographic Society was founded in Washington, D.C. for increased diffusion of geographic knowledge. And so, yes, I do believe that like there's a lot of like different institutions that benefit humanity and that can like further educate us. But these specific people, like, look who developed these, who founded and look at the information that they were sharing and why. And so much information was we're being duped about. And don't click on the first link or image that you see on Google to try to do your assessments and stuff like that, because there's a lot of fake images and fake skulls and so much fake stuff out there that like you do need an expert, unfortunately, to assist with getting this information out there. I'm telling you, our mainstream media and like who we have in charge right now is they're not even remotely aware of the reality of how to get away from like cyber warfare. And I teach this, and I've been teaching this for many, many years, and I have top secret government clearance, etc. And so, and I've called out so much stuff already regarding Afghanistan pullout and the lies about the drones and who they were, again, and who they actually killed, and the impact there. And then with the Russia-Ukraine war, with just like all the lies and the misinformation that has been fed to people, and then trying to push for more war or World War III, and but with lying to people, right? And so there's times when we need warriors, but we don't need to lie to our warriors, right? And so and dupe them, because people do die and suffer and things like that because of this. And so you shouldn't be wanting this to happen because it further benefits you and your family. It's actually cruel. It's actually insane. And so Canada, there's misinformation like getting pushed to people again, saying that there's there was 2,800 dead and 3 million lost because of misinformation, and trying to push this on people like me that were saying that like the therapeutics that were being pushed on us were possibly not as safe as we were being led to believe, and that they weren't stopping the spread. All this information, and that this was leaked, and so much information even about like Russia and Ukraine. And again, we were getting called the people that were creating the misinformation. And my point to that was like, how many billions of dollars did Chrystia Freeland lose, or maybe trillions now, because of the misinformation that she's been pushing, and Justin Trudeau, like all the misinformation that he's on the record pushing. He's been on the record pushing this misinformation, right? So how many billions of dollars are we now in debt because of these individuals? And how many people have died? If you look at the excess deaths now, it's alarming. It's staggering, just based on the mandates and therapeutics and the suicides and the additional like increases in addictions and people that have lost so much. Even people like me that lost like all my contracts working with federal government. Why? Because I was not vaccinated and or putting a stand saying I'm not going to work for people that are pushing this stuff and calling for people like Wayne Eyre and Brenda Lucky to get fired, and Marco Mendicino, and then just getting gaslit by people, and it's just been overwhelmingly frustrating. So these are the people that have caused like incredible amounts of deaths and billions, if not trillions of dollars, like and it's going to take so long for us to get out of this. And it was because of a planned pandemic with a leaked virus that was blown way out of proportion, and then there was also like facilitation of like keeping people further stuck and unhealthy, with even saying like the COVID-15 at the beginning, and like talking about like weight gain and like closing down gyms and so much wrong. And then not even sharing like the proof about vitamin D and ivermectin and hydrochloroquine, like also being like treatment remedies that were even more effective than these therapeutics that were not even approved at the FDA level yet, and they are being stopped, by the way, in places like South Africa and the UK and so many other countries, and Dr. John Campbell, who is vaccinated and who's been pushing this, but like has now in the last year been red pilled, fortunately, because now he's on the right side, and he's very unbiased and very, very smart, and finally like waking up to all this stuff. But yeah, so it's just to say, like, I don't think anyone's stupid for actions. Like, I do stupid things on a regular basis, right? Like, it's part of life, and it's through our mistakes that we learn, right? And it's what we do with that shows who we are as people. And he's also showing that there's so I'll go on my list. There's at least 30 countries that that he's showing that there's excess deaths, like just in the last 24 hours. He's posted this video, or 48 hours. And so, yeah, he's an expert, and his credentials below Justin Trudeau, Omar Al-Ghabra, Kieran Moore, Marco Mendicino, Chrystia Lee Freeland, these like ignorant people. He like his academics, like, and his knowledge and experience like blows them out of the water. Theresa Tam, all these people, and he's saying that like we need to like re-look at everything and take a look at his videos. I'm gonna link it as well. And so don't listen to me on this stuff. Listen to the actual experts on this stuff. And I've also shared our like the President Zelensky in Ukraine with leather chaps and these weird bondage like like outfits in his rock videos, again rocking out like weird sexual innuendos and stuff like that, and doing like satanic like devil worshipping stuff as well. And so this is who we're giving our money to. It's like him and his friends, right? It's not going to the soldiers. I can confirm, like being that I was in the military for 15 years as an infantry officer, that we do our best with what we have available, but the like the money and the resources we're given, it's largely to benefit and profit people that are not even Canadian. And it's been throughout history, so it's not like this should be surprising to people, or it shouldn't make people like upset, or angry or anything like that. It should just give people more like I don't know, like empowerment to see like just like the reality for what it is, and then just be on the outside looking in now and seeing things for what they are, and things will make a lot more sense once you're tracking this stuff. And just how corrupt these people are, and the weird ass orgies they do, and now you can see like why I'm not on YouTube and why I keep on getting censored on YouTube. But even more now, I think like since just January, there's more videos that I'm seeing and other people are seeing as well that are staying up that would have never been up like for even a minute last year even. And so again, I'm still in Canada, and if I want to get more widely known or like get this information out there, I'm going to have to unfortunately leave this country. And go to a country where obviously where there's less censorship, and that's obviously like in the States, they do still have less censorship, especially in places like Texas and Florida. Colorado, like varying degrees, but Canada, it's crazy, especially in Ontario, and we're not even realizing that in Quebec as well. And they're trying to remove our guns and lock us down and talk about climate change, all this stuff, and they're not cluing into the fact that like we're getting more extreme socialist, leftist, and yet again throughout history, these are the countries that where like there's a lot of suffering and harm that's done, not even through war, but through poverty and through strife and through struggle and through through mass control and stuff like that by government. So if you look at China, like there's so many millions of people that are lining up each day in order to get their barcodes to be green and in order to get food and access to their funds and their banking systems if they don't do this on a regular basis. And it's just like, do you really want to spend your entire life in a lineup just for like to get your barcode green? Like this is what they want us to do, or be in metaverses. Like look at Venezuela, look at China, get off the internet as much as you can, and get out and explore and talk to people more importantly, that have like, ideologies or belief systems that are different from yours, and see where they're coming from in a non-biased, judgmental way, right? Because like there's so much, like it doesn't matter about your skin color, your age, your race, your religion, like your language, like none of that stuff. There's so much misinformation about the reality of the world and about our own spirituality and us being divine beings and this being a intelligent design, but with a dome above us, that we need to properly manage this world. And if more people knew the reality of the world, then they would do better, right? And so like even with me within the military, a lot of people say that there's so many negative opinions, and but for the most part, like even though I've been through like awful things, experienced awful things because of the demographic I was working with, it's only a small minority, right? And this is in all workplaces too, like in environments where and this is why when you have a larger population, the people on the left and right hands of the extremes of the behavioral spectrum, like there's going to be more people like that in order that we need to protect our children and our most vulnerable from, right? And so this is why I always believe that we need a military, we need law enforcement, etc., but we also need like more like healing spiritual community centers and things like that. And then again, like more truth and the truth being taught in our education systems and media and our and then if we can't stop things from being created, obviously I'm not saying that, but if we want to manage like this, like the country, what we can do is like manage the misinformation more. Oh, it's so hard because like again, like I can't even say that. Just more truth would be welcome. And we are truth seekers, like that's what humans are at the end of the day. And so I think on that note, I'm gonna leave it at that for today. And I hope that people take a look at these videos, that you like and you share, because I'm shadow banned on freaking everything and or deleted, and so I'm only pulling like less than like 100 views on these videos. And if you think that you're getting more out of these videos than CNN or CBC or Fox News or like your regular everyday entertainment that you're paying for, then I really do hope that you at least share this and subscribe and like. So anyways, on that note, I hope that what was I going to talk about? Like, oh yeah, oh my god, I was going to go on so many things, but like CSIS, they put Shaikh, I'm saying that wrong, but like SHAIKH. He's the he was like the informant that was working for CSIS. He was actually like a CSIS employee that he was given like $300,000. I've shared this like so many times before, to go like to work against like terrorism and stuff like that. And so like there was like Toronto 18 that happened here several years ago. And so essentially what came out of that was that he was possibly grooming and or taking children and giving them like alcohol and money and other things and making them feel important, and then grooming them into being like the Toronto 18 to commit a terrorist activity. And because he was getting paid a lot of money for it. And so that there's a lot of them that have tried to fight this in court and push this and say that there was a lot of like false allegations and claims, and that they were set up and baited and things like that. And this was and still it's still ongoing, that they're trying to get like this information out there. And so, but CSIS, instead of trying to mitigate this and spread the truth about this, because special forces were involved in this stuff as well, to help. They weren't involved in like the planning or staging or grooming or baiting, any of that stuff. These are the heroes that go out and risk their lives, even when they're given misinformation, even when they're risking their lives because of idiots that are working for the government that are grooming people and are baiting people because they want to make money. And so he was put on the his name was given to the American authorities recently again, but to be on the terrorist watch list, even though he's a key witness, informant for the Toronto 18. And so at least give him the opportunity to explain himself and possibly vindicate people, but instead they're going to put him on watch lists and possibly get him to be deleted and or suicided. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we really need to look at so much information, and so I think on that note I will leave it at that, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful day.